Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm just here tonight. I'm doing one of the hashtags by Shannon Choppenhayes, which is Colorists Give Back 2020. And the idea behind it is that we colour the things that we love, that are important to us. So I thought I would start off with this one. Okay, so this one definitely has some stories to it, and as I go through, hopefully it makes a little bit of sense of why I am doing this one. And when I start the chat, I guess, of why this page is, when I saw it, I knew I had to colour it. I'm using Black Widows on this. I've gone over the backgrounds with Neocolor. So all of it has been underlaid with Neocolor. And I've used some of the Black Widow skin tones in on her face already. But I'm just going to be working on the butterflies as we go through. So I'm using Purple Haze. So butterflies, they mean a lot when it comes to my daughters. And I use the word daughters. So, and my story is not, sadly, it is not one that is unique to me. It is something that many mothers and fathers have lived through. But in previous videos, you've seen some of heard me talk about my daughter and her art. So my daughter is 11, nearly 12, and she is an incredible young lady, but she is not my only daughter. So I also have an angel daughter, if you want to call her that would be 14 this year. Her name is Isabella, and which means beautiful girl in Italian. And she was born into a very, loving marriage. And she was very special to both her father and I. And an incredible moment in our lives. I'm just going in with Amethyst. And it was good. I had a fantastic pregnancy with her, and there was no complications with my pregnancy, apart from the fact that I went over for a couple of weeks and, felt like I was going to explode. But, that's normal with pregnancies. And she was my first, so it's normal to go over. And eventually, obviously go into labour, and delivered her without any complications. She was gorgeous. She was just 6 pound 5, so she was a little one. And healthy and fantastic. And we took her home the next day, which is as you do, and worked with the thing. I'm going with eggplant now. And it was an incredible moment in our lives. My husband was in the military and had been over serving in Iraq for the majority of my pregnancy. So he'd gotten home from Iraq only a few weeks before our daughter was born, before Isabella was born. And she, we were obviously extremely ecstatic, and I was forever thankful that his tour ended in time for him to be home for her birth. I was very lucky with that. I'm just going to go in with Shadow, I think is what it's called. Yep, Shadow. And yeah, so we brought Isabella home, which was brilliant. And we had 5 days with her, 4 days. And sadly, on the 4th night, we lost her to SIDS. So it's sudden infant death syndrome. And it was obviously a very heart-wrenchingly difficult time in anyone's life. So pastel purple. And I found her and spent some time trying to do CPR and those kinds of things, and but it was called, and we weren't able to obviously revive her. I know I'm trying to. It's a difficult story to talk about, and I'm sorry if I trigger anyone with this, but this is where we're getting to, I guess, the reason why this page means so much. And so we lost Isabella, and obviously that takes an effect on marriages and all of those kinds of things. I'm just going to go in with a gel pen. And so, I'm one of those people. I'm not very good at showing weakness. I am very much about being strong. I mean, it's one of my 3 mottos of life: be kind, be strong, be a warrior. So being strong is something, I guess, if you want, that I pride myself on. And it is, I guess, with me doing that, and also my husband dealing with PTSD, obviously from his service, as well as the loss of our child, it took a toll on our marriage. And it was a couple of years later, I fell pregnant with my younger daughter, and which should have been an incredibly joyous moment, but I think it was the crux in my marriage, and it didn't survive it. So my husband left whilst I was pregnant with my daughter, with Georgia. So my 11-year-old's name is Georgia. She's been on some of my previous videos and on before. And so it was, and I mean, Georgia is incredibly wonderful, passionate, talented young lady who I am proud of every day that she is mine, and I get to be her mum. It's something that drives me constantly with what I do. Sorry, I'm trying to colour and talk at the same time. It's actually a really difficult thing. And so that was, that's kind of where where butterflies come into it, when I saw this page. So I look at this page when I got the book, and the first thing I saw was this young girl crying, surrounded by butterflies. So butterflies has become a symbol in my family and with me of my daughter, of Isabella. And I have a tattoo of a butterfly, and it's holding a little bell, just to symbolise, obviously Isabella. And the butterfly is surrounded by the Southern Cross, which is, if you're Australian, it's a very symbolic, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Symbol of Australia. I'm going to go in with Fancy Pink. And so that is the tattoo I have. And it kind of comes with a year after, or nearly a year after we had lost Isabella. My mum and I did a walk to remember, which was about obviously walking with other families that had lost a child, whether it to be to miscarriage, stillbirth, sudden infant death, or any cause of losing a child. And so we did that walk, and it was all about having butterflies. So we all released a butterfly. And, you know, we walked that with the butterflies surrounding us, which was very peaceful, actually, and very, I guess, spiritual in knowing that, you know, we can let something so beautiful fly and live in freedom and those kinds of things. I'm going in with bubblegum. Yeah, and so butterflies have just become, I guess, that thing. So when I moved into this house earlier in the year, the first day I arrived, I was out on my deck and a whole swarm of butterflies come flying up onto the desk and, you know, were flying around, and it was just, I guess, you know, if you want to look at it, a bit of a message of, I'm here. This place is going to be good. Enjoy. And that's kind of what I choose to think about. I'm going in for medium grey. And, yeah, so when I saw this one, I just saw a girl crying, which is, you know, how I look at her and I see my daughter. I see Isabella. And I guess the sadness that she can't be with her mum. I like to think that in some way she will always be part of me and who I am and of Georgia. Georgia is aware that she has an older sister. It's not something we like spend a lot of time dwelling on or you know, being part of our everyday life, but she is aware that she does have an older sister. And hold on, I'm just getting some gel pens again. And what colour do I want to do? I'm just trying to think, what colour do I want in there? I think I might go for a bit of a gold. So when I started this page, obviously I've done that. I would have imagined that Georgia has blue eyes. I have blue eyes. I would have imagined that Isabella probably would have ended up with some kind of blue eyes as well. And so I figured I'm going to stick with the blue eyes to represent my girls. And so that's how I did her. And then obviously the butterflies. Now the colours of the butterflies. So in the nursery for both Georgia and Isabella, the colours of the nursery were mostly green with splashes of bright pink and purple. So I wanted to kind of stick with a colour scheme that represented, I guess, the colours of my girls when they were younger. However, Georgia still has everything pink. She's definitely into the whole pink and pastel kind of stuff vibe at the moment, which is quite cute. And I couldn't not do this colour. And then I thought about, well, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do a colour and chat using this page, because I thought, well, if I'm going to talk about the things that I love, my daughters are solely and wholly the purpose for or what drives me on the daily. And it's there wasn't any other option, I guess. I'm going to go in with lime fruit. And they do. And, you know, whilst my story, I guess, has a sad underlying component to it, the loss of Isabella is what drives me every day. Okay, it's, I think with tragedy, you can, I guess, how you use that to further yourself is a lot. And now I could have, by rightly so, blamed the world and cried, why me, and all of that kind of stuff, just going in with charcoal. Cried, why me, when it come to obviously losing my daughter and my then husband losing our child. But that wasn't something that sits with me. I'm a big believer you can't blame others for what has happened to you. I can't blame anything for what happened. It was just, sadly, something that did. And so I used that, I guess, and what I did was, at that time, I was working for as a medical representative for a pharmaceutical company. I had a pretty good job, traveling around, talking to doctors and nurses and things like that. But I sat there, and I knew at that time, me traveling around in a car, spending a lot of time thinking to myself, wouldn't have been the healthiest of options for me. So I looked at, what could I do instead? What could I do that, whilst I didn't have my daughter to raise and influence and be a role model for, what could I do instead? And that's when I chose to become a teacher. So I went back and did my diploma of teaching, and the rest is history. I now have a job that I, in every way, shape and form, adore. I love my job. I love what I do. I love that hopefully I'm someone that does make a difference in a child's life. I always sit there and go, I remember in my first year of teaching, and I was, first year teacher, you think, what have I done? Because it's definitely not as easy, and I teach high school. It's definitely not as easy as you think it's going to be. And going in purple haze. And I sat there, and I'm just checking that I'm still recording it. I had a colleague who, her brief moment in me changed everything, the way I look at it. And she said to me, because I didn't have Georgia at that time, I didn't even know I was pregnant with her at that stage. And she said to me, you need to go in and imagine if they were your children, what would you want the teacher to be doing? Going in with grape. What kind of teacher would you want them to have? And that completely changed the way I looked at my job and my purpose. Reaffirmed, I guess, why I had chosen to become a teacher. And I think just changed me in general. And so every day from that point on has been about being there for the kids. Now, I teach a lot of kids from low socioeconomic areas, and their stories would break your heart. The things that they live through is just incredibly sad. And I use that in the fact that I need to be, I guess, the thing that they come to each day, knowing that, Miss is going to be happy. Miss is going to push me. She's going to make me love what I'm learning, make me feel that I can succeed through my learning. And hopefully just for that moment, regardless of what they are living through in their home life, feel safe and feel valued and feel appreciated and respected, and that their opinions and their goals and their dreams matter. And so that's kind of how I see life now. I see my life as being a warrior, being someone that fights to make it a better place. And if I can make it a better place for anyone, then I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing what I should be doing. And yeah, so I'm just thinking what to do now while I'm talking to you. It's, I guess, I don't know, it's one of those things where you kind of go, well, how do you talk about this without sounding completely morose and miserable? And because I'm not. I certainly am not miserable. Don't get me wrong, I very much have mental health issues. You know, I have anxiety, I have depression, I have post-traumatic stress, all of those kinds of things. But it's managed, and I'm not embarrassed by it. I talk to the kids at school about it. I'm very open about my own issues. If I have a bad day, I explain to them that I'm having a bad day, that, you know, the thoughts in my head are a little bit off. And I think they also begin to appreciate then that it's, especially with working with teenagers, that it's okay not to always feel, you know, the absolute best every day, that, you know, that being happy all the time is unrealistic and, you know, not something that needs to be. You can be sad. Going in with watermelon. And so that's definitely something I guess work that. Now I'm not even going to pretend. I'm one of those crazy teachers. I dance at the front of my classroom. I'm singing. I'm, you know, it is who I am. I generally like to think of myself as a pretty upbeat kind of person that tries to bring joy if I can, bring kindness, bring all of that kind of stuff to people. You know, and I teach my kids that as well, both the ones that are in my private life as well as the ones that are in my work life. You know, I'm not one of those teachers that if you see me in the shopping centre that's going to pretend that not to see you. I'm happy for you to come up and talk to me and introduce me to your mum and all of that kind of stuff. I think it's great. And what's also happened, I guess, is that I care for children that are not biologically mine. So over the last few years, I've, due again to circumstances beyond their control, they've been in a situation where they needed someone to look after them. I didn't want them to go into the system, so I bring them into my home, and I treat them just the same way, with the same respect and the same values that I instill in Georgia. And I think, you know, that they hopefully benefit from that, and kind of, I guess, I don't know. And I don't, you know, and people sit there and go, I can't believe you do that and that you've done that. It's such an admirable thing and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, no, it's just what you do. They needed a place. I have the ability. I'm lucky enough. I earn a good income, a good enough income as a teacher, that I was in a position that I could provide. You know, in my house, I have a big house for at that point in time, but just me and Georgia and our pets. So it wasn't like I couldn't. And again, I'm for everything, and it comes down to my family too. Not for 1 second did my family go, what are you doing? Instead, my family went, how can we help? And my family have become influences in their lives as well. And, you know, they are treated with just as much love and kindness as Georgia is, as a, you know, yeah. And it's something I'm so glad I look back and I'm forever thankful that I was given that moment, that 30-second moment in life to make that choice and say yes, and bring these other children into my home and into thing. And I now find that just as fulfilling as if not more than what I do for work. And I hope I get to see these kids grow up, graduate, go on and take on the world and see the world and pursue whatever they want to do, because they're not held back by the belief that they're not good enough and that they can't. But in fact, they are, if they want to work for it and they want to drive hard and they want to, you know, they want it and they dream it, then they go out and get it. And that is absolutely what I hope I am showing them is capable of doing, because that's what my family and my parents did for me. They you know, taught me that if you want something, you get it. You don't tell anyone you can and can't do it because you're a girl or because you're from a small town or because you're this or whatever the reason. No. If you believe it and then you go get it. You fight for it. You pursue it and let it drive you forward. And so hopefully I get to do that. And, you know, at the appropriate time, I get lots more grandbabies. If they choose to have children. If they don't, that's fine too. But, you know, that I hopefully remain part of their lives once they leave my home, and that they forever look at the time with me as a good thing in the midst of, you know, bad situation. That they, yeah, I guess look at that and are kind of, I guess in a way, thankful or whatever that they had the chance to be in my house. So that's, I guess, a bit of the thing that, and behind all of that is always, and that's, I guess, what I've been trying to allude to with all of this, is my daughter, is Isabella. It is about continuing to be the best person, the best role model, the best mum that I could possibly be. And I think with Georgia, you know, she, like I said, she's just an incredible young woman. And I like to think that, you know, she loves her mum. You know, she does. And that she is proud of her mum. You know, some days I think when I'm out doing, you know, a little bit of, I guess, what's the word to call it? What would I call it? When I'm out advocating for what I believe in and for trying to make a change and trying to make a difference, that she recognises that I'm doing it because I'm trying to make things better. I'm trying to fight for those that can't fight for themselves. And I guess do it that way. This is kind of looking pretty cool. So hopefully you can see a little bit of the shimmers that are coming with the gel pen as I'm adding over it. And I will continue to work on the butterflies as I go through doing that. I'm just going to go in with a bit of charcoal and just start doing a bit of shadowing underneath the butterflies, so it gives a bit more depth to the page, so the butterflies actually look like they're not sitting on the background. Yeah, so it's when Shannon come up with this hashtag, I was like, well, I have to talk about this. I have to talk about the thing that I love most in the world, which are my children. They are everything. They are what drives me every day to be a better person, to be a good person, to be the person that, you know, continues the good fight, continues to be kind, doesn't let negativity and sadness and tragedy change that ultimate person that I am, which is about kindness and standing up for what is right and standing up for others. So and I hope that they do think that of me. And, you know, I hope my students value what I do in the classroom as well, that they see that there's a purpose behind why I'm so determined to get them to succeed and to get them to believe in their abilities and themselves and what they're capable of. And I guess that's all about it. But the butterflies symbolises that for me. You know, freedom and beauty and just the joy that they bring by being present. So that, I guess, was quite deep. I went through it better than I thought it would. And like you know, this isn't obviously the first time I've talked about my daughter. Like I said, I'm not one to pretend that it didn't happen. If my story can bring comfort to anyone, or solace or whatever it may be, then that's fantastic. And if I have at this point in time, you know, brought up emotions in you while you're listening to this, please don't hesitate to contact me. You can PM me on Instagram. My hashtags, Amazon Tammy11. Just comment to me if you need someone to talk to, if those thoughts and those moments are getting hard, or that you feel that no one understands, then please reach out. Because like I said, that's what drives me now, is that push to be there for others. All right, well, I think that's enough. I think I've talked long enough. I think you can see what I'm doing with these butterflies, and I'll continue to do that, and eventually I'll put the finished page up on my Instagram for you to see. And I hope that you enjoyed my version of Colorists Give Back 2020, and can kind of see that I think it's beautiful. I think the colours, the vibrancy, that with the sadness of the young girl, she's surrounded by life, she's surrounded by beauty, she's surrounded by hope. And I guess that's all of that kind of stuff that I'm trying to put forward. So if you haven't already, if you're still here, please hit the like button, comment, subscribe if you haven't. All of that, you know, means a great deal. And as always, remember, be kind, be strong, and be a warrior. And I will see you later. Bye.